Okay, my name is Antonio Acuna. I'm currently the principal here at Del Valle High School. I've been working at Isleta for the last 24 years, and I've been at 5 different schools. I've been an assistant principal at St. Lou. I was a principal at Pasadena Elementary. I was a principal at Rio Bravo Middle School. And again, this is my first year here at Del Valle High School as a principal of this school. So that's in a nutshell, that's my background.
Okay, back to what we were talking about, how you change a school.
One of the things, again, being a principal at 3 different schools now, it's not one thing. It's a lot of factors that you have to put them together and make them work. But it's not necessarily just one thing. Let me just give you an example of what just happened to us last Thursday. We have visitors here from Hubs, New Mexico, and they wanted the same thing. They wanted to know, how do you fix schools? How do you make them better? I introduced myself to them, and the first thing they told me, not even asking me any questions, they said, how do you keep your school so clean? And I said, you see, that's one of the factors. And those are the details that some people don't pay attention to. When you walk into school, it changes the perspective on people just by the way it looks from the outside. When you walk in, the way you greet it, the way people talk to you, it makes a big difference. And does that affect the overall results? It really does. Because those are the parents that want to bring their kids to our school. I had a parent that said, I'm bringing my son to your school because of the way the school looks from the outside. I said, you're serious? He goes, yeah. Because if that's how much you take care of the outside, imagine how the inside is going to be. And I said, I'll take your daughter, ma'am. And she's doing wonderful here. And then the other thing is, what's happening in each of the classrooms? Sometimes we worry about 5, 10 teachers. No, you have to worry about every teacher. Are we providing the resources? Are we providing the training? Are we following up with them? Do we have the people that can help those teachers become better at what they do? And a school can be good. And then this school is great, but what do we need to do to make it excellent? So we never stop, because we don't become comfortable or complacent. I say, what else can we do to make this school go to the next level? And that's one of the things we've done today. This morning, we have career day happening at our school. And our students in high school, I say, career day, oh yeah, the school's having one. And they're not interested. But then we had a helicopter land this morning here. And the kids hear helicopter, they want to see it. I say, so what does the helicopter symbolize? The kickoff of our career day. Now they want to know about career day. So you talk about being an innovator. How do you start with a bang so the kids see, I want to hear about this career day? Why? Because of helicopter landing here. So those are the little things that makes or breaks a school. The little things, and you take time to work with a lot of people. This took a lot of planning just to land a helicopter here for 5 minutes. But that is going to make our career day go very well. Kids are supporting it and they want to know what it is all about. So,
how do you increase the capacity of your teachers?
You increase the capacity. I'll give you an example. We have here what we call the small learning communities. And what we do, our freshmen and sophomores, they get put into houses. They have the same 4 core teachers. And they have them for the whole year. So whenever there's a problem arises or something good happens, the same 4 teachers have them. So they meet once a week in a table like this. They discuss all the kids. They bring in, well, this student is doing well. We're going to take them this week, we're taking them to Carlsbad. All the kids that did well in that house, they're going to Carlsbad as a reward for that. Every month, we give them pizza. So we reward the kids. The ones that are not doing well, the small learning communities, we have 7 tutors. So during the day, we pull them out to work with them. The tutors call their parents, and then we have parent meetings. So all those little things help the school become better at what they're doing. And then the teachers, instead of, okay, I'm having a problem, but I'm not. So I said, well, what are you doing that you're not having a problem with that kid? But because it's only 120 kids instead of 2,000 kids, you're able to work with those kids. So you build that capacity on that teacher. I said, well, there's 4 of us right now. 3 of us are having a problem with him, and you're not. What are you doing? Or the opposite. That he's doing well in 3 classes and not in 1. Or not doing well in any of the classes. So you start building that capacity to tell that teacher how he's doing in the other classrooms. But you have to invest the funding, you have to invest the personnel, and the time too. If we say we're going to meet, we meet every time. If we say we're going to talk to the parents, we call the parents. And you have to invest your money because we have a house leader, and that costs money. And then we also have a coordinator for all those leaders, so that she can bring them together too. So if you don't invest on those things, it's not going to happen. And and you have to be consistent with what you invest and when you put things in place. You have to continuously check in to see if it's working and how do we make it better. And that's the thing how you develop capacity with your people.
One of the things that Dr. Delatorre told us about was that his goal was to increase the children who are reading in advanced level from 16% up to 25% in the next 5 years. How are you interacting with that goal?
Even though we're high school, and you see that, you actually talk to them. I meet with my feeder schools once a month, and we talk about the strategies that are working. And because my background, I've been a principal at elementary, middle school, and high school, I can actually give them suggestions. I can tell them this is what you need to do in order for that to happen. I can actually tell them, you see, I have a ninth grader right now reading the third grade. Where do we drop the ball? What is it we need to do so that won't happen? So we start talking about iStation, we start talking about small groups and things that I know of, and say, how do we implement all of us together to make sure that when those kids get to my high school, they're reading at that grade level. And then also, we can build capacity. In high school, your teachers are kind of experts because that's what they do. They teach reading only, they teach math. So even our own teachers can go and meet with them, give them strategies, they can train them, they can do a lot of different things with them. And that's one of the things when you start building, you talked about capacity. What can the high school do to help the middle school, and the middle school help the elementary, and how can we all come together? I'll give you an example. This Friday, we're doing T-STEM. I don't know if you're familiar with T-STEM. That's about technology right now. Everybody's talking about that we're doing science, technology, and engineering and math. What we're doing, we're bringing the person in charge from either feeder schools. We're coming together. We're gonna align it. So by the time we get them, what background are you gonna get in elementary? What background are you building in middle school? So when we get them, it's not like the first year they're doing this T-STEM. They already have the background. So that's part of what we need to do, the alignment. But actually, again, building capacity, put it in paper, follow through with that, and make sure that everyone is doing. So the way we do small learning communities, we're doing it with T-STEM, we're doing it with English, we're doing it with everything else that we do. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of commitment on people too. But at the same time, you develop them also capacity with your people too, because they become better at what they do.
What would you say is your biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge right now, and I think it's happening in El Paso, is the students, what we call the ELL, the second language learners, because they don't have the background for the language, and we need to develop that. And a lot of times that keeps a lot of the students from learning at the highest level. So that has been the biggest weakness I think that we have, or the biggest challenge that all of the schools have. How do we make sure that those kids, they're learning the language, but it's not just about oral language, it's about academic language. Because a lot of these kids, you speak to them and say, oh, that student doesn't have a problem with the language. They do, because they still don't have the academic language. So how do we build that so the kids, they're building both the language and the academic. And right now we're doing a real good job with building the language, the social skills and the social language, but the academic is not keeping up with that. So that's one of the things, that's one of the challenges that we all have right now.
What would you say is your greatest success in the year that you've been here?
I think building relationships with not only the teachers, the students, but even with the parents and even with the community. That it's something that we have been able to build it to bring back Del Valle to even the highest level that it has been in a while. People, we're doing fun things too for the kids. They're still accountable for academics, they're still accountable for UIL, sports and everything, but it's building relationships. That if we work here, we talk to each other. We know who you are, because when you become real big, you tend to lose that. You tend to lose the building relationships. And that's been my goal, and we've been able to accomplish that. Not only just me, because I model, but I expect everyone else to do it. And it does trickle down when people want to interact with the kids, they want to know how they're doing. I'll give you an example. I send a document to my teachers every Monday. It's called Principal's Document. And I acknowledge everything we did the last week. Like if we won a football game, I put it in there. And then if a student, last week we had 2 kids that won the Gates Millennium Scholarship, I want everyone to know. So when they go to that classroom, I say, Roberto, I understand you got a scholarship. Now the kid knowing that you know, the self-esteem goes to the highest level, and is, how do you know about this? Or even, we had a student that had some discipline issues, but in football, one of the best stars. And he got selected to be in the All-Star game. You tell the teachers that, and when they walk into your classroom, the first thing you tell them, hey, I noticed you played in the All-Star game. Instead of like, well, you always giving me problems, not behaving. So that's the kind of communication I want everyone to know, the great things that are happening here, that everyone knows what's going on. Because as much success as this school has, not everyone knows it in our own school.
Yeah.
We send a newsletter to the community, and everything we accomplish for that month, so that newsletter, it's huge. It's like 7 pages long. But I want them to know that we're great, but this is the reason we're great. and people read them. You'll be amazed when they come back. I had a parent the other day say, "Hey, I read the newsletter. Is it true that you guys are doing this?" Like, yeah, sir. That's what we're doing. Oh, I didn't know that. So it's a lot of communication. If you go to our webpage right now, it's always updated. Everything that happened last week is on that webpage, and it's always a student center. What did this, like we selected a conquistador and a condesa for the yearbook. The first thing you see when you go to our webpage. Everything is always student center. It's not about me. It's not about my teachers. It's about the student. Because we always talk about that. Oh, everything is student center. Actually, it does happen at this school, and that's the difference between us and many high schools. That when you say student center, it is student center. Right now, I was talking to an individual. I'm talking to you, but if a student needs to see me, I'll be honest with you. My secretary is instructed to stop my meeting, let the student come in, and if it's nothing personal, they'll share it in front of all of us. Because we talk about open door policy, we talk about student center, but we don't practice a lot of times. And my kids know that. They come here, and doesn't matter who's in here. They'll come in here and they'll share if they have a question or they want to interview me or whatever. And because it's always student center at this school.